dump and shaking.
Hello. Hey, hi, howdy, hello. For those of you who normally come here for my Gabby stuff, or Lori Jones stuff, I'll give you a quick update, as it were. Lori is not off TikTok. She's box hopping, but still very much going live. She's just doing it on other channels, trying to be slick about it. Only she's not slick at all. And I would normally cover her, but it's Thanksgiving, and I don't want to start my Thanksgiving off with negativity. And I cannot stand her. So we're gonna watch ghost stories. Well, listen to ghost stories and do some diamond art. Because I haven't done one in a while, for starters. And secondly, because I would like to not be in a foul mood today. So here we go. These are terrifying hauntings and ghost stories. It's a TikTok compilation, and these are really good. A lot of them are actually believable and fun. So here we go.
It still to this day, when I remember the story, freaks me the hell out. I grew up in a very haunted house in Colorado. We found out it wasn't the house over time, it was the land. We actually did have a medium come and cleanse the house after my mom's first bout of cancer. Tons of stuff happened. I could literally tell story after story after story. We lived there for 30 years. It was bad enough that my dad actually did ask the realtor when he sold the house if he had to disclose to the new occupants that it was haunted. We found out over time, talking to other neighbors, they all had the same issues. It was the land this subdivision was built on. So the scariest thing, it was actually like a succession of things, but when we first moved in, there was a 3-story walkout basement house built on a hillside, and I had the basement room as the oldest kid. And there was one night where...
And usually, if you are being haunted, I would like to interject this. Usually, with a haunting, it is a succession of things. It's not typically just one or two things. It's like a ever increasing succession of things that all culminate and come together to make something bad. Like, it may start off as something like strange noises you can't explain, or a passing shadow you can't explain, or it could literally start out as anything. Like with this one, it started out as just a feeling, like an overwhelming feeling of being watched, is how the haunting in my house started. And then it progressed over time to shadows, voices, being touched, sleep paralysis, things like that. Not all ghosts are bad. And not all hauntings are ghosts. You can have demons, you can have malevolent spirits, you can have, what do you call it? Celestial beings. Things that were never human but still aren't demons. I mean, it can range from a lot of different things. It's not just one or the other. It's not a one size fits all kind of thing. You can also have familial spirits, which means spirits of your ancestors, family, extended family. Like, it could be a lot of different things.
I woke up, it sounded like people were banging on the doors. There was 2 entrances to my room. It sounded like they were running back and forth and trying to get in. I actually heard things in the playroom down there like tumbling out of the cabinets and going all over the place. And when I finally worked up the courage, I turned on all the lights in my room, and one of the doors was a quick right and then left up the stairs to get up to the main level, turn around, and then go up again up to where my parents were sleeping. I was 12 or 13 at the time when this happened. I think it was about 13. So I hear all this happening. I suck up my strength to like go run, and as I start to open the door, somebody, wham, like hits the door.
Hey, April. Love you. Yeah, I didn't feel like doing Gabby today. I'm finding her especially triggering. Especially with what I'm going through right now. I'm not in a good place to cover her or Lori Jones because I cannot deal with child abusers. Not really. I'm not feeling well at all. There's been talk with my doctor about placing me on disability. And I'm considering it. At least temporarily until I can get my health back where it needs to be. With everything going on, I've kind of let some things fall through the cracks. But I'm considering it. It would give me more time with the littles. It would give me time to heal and get the surgeries I need to get and not have to worry about it. And, actually look after myself. Which I should have done before now, admittedly. I know. But like all of my energy was focused in just making sure we were safe, and I didn't really have time to focus on anything else. But now that things have slowed down a little bit, I think that I can safely, you know, start doing that. And my doctor is kind of pushing it in a not so subtle way. He's not exactly being gentle about it. So it's less of a choice and more of a, my doctor is insisting on it. So we'll see, but right now I'm just focused on the apartment, getting something together. Hopefully by Christmas we'll be moved and settled, and then I can really focus on other stuff. Anywho,
which made me fly back to my bed, pull up the covers. I didn't have a phone down there. Again, this is long before cell phones, so I had no phone, no way to call 911 or say somebody's broken into the house, nothing. So instead, I took my boombox stereo and I turned the music up full volume. I was 2 floors below my parents' bedroom, and I thought, surely if I turn the music up all the way, they'll know something is wrong. It's about 3 in the morning. My dad did wake up, felt like something was wrong, came downstairs, saw that all my lights were on and that my music was blaring, and couldn't wake me up. The playroom, not destroyed. There was nobody down there. Nobody had broken in. Everything was sealed shut. He was so freaked out, he moved me immediately the next day up to my youngest brother's room, had him stay with my other brother while they moved my bedroom upstairs. Because my dad was like, I only woke up thinking something was wrong. He didn't hear the music until he opened the basement door, and he was like, if somebody actually broke in, we wouldn't hear what was going on. So I told you that story to tell you this story. So they moved me up. It's maybe 2 nights later. I am sleeping on my brother's bed, looking down. He was at the end of the hallway from the top stairs on the 3rd floor. And it was a direct line of sight to my parents' bedroom. And I was so freaked out about what had happened. I was sleeping with the door open so I could see to their bedroom and feel like, I was kind of safe enough to get to them if I needed them. Middle of the night to a slamming sound coming from the basement. And it sounded like doors were slamming somewhere in the house. Then I heard what sounded like running heavy footsteps up the basement stairs. It sounded like the basement door was kicked open and that someone had run around on the hardwood floors to the base of the other stairs and had run up those stairs and then stopped. Now, I was not staring down the hallway when I heard this. I was kind of like looking around, and then I looked at the base of the stairs, and I'm going to show you what I saw. Okay, so imagine that this is the top flight of the stair. So there's a whole wall coming this way and the railing for the stairs. I literally saw something like...
Oh, that's amazing, April. I'm happy for you. Hopefully, we get the apartment we were wanting. We went and looked at we looked at 3 last week. Because I think I'd told y'all the other one fell through. We didn't get the funding in time, so we lost that. And so we went and looked at 3 more. And I really want that first one we looked at, so I'm just waiting to hear back from them on if we got it or not. And if we did, we'll be moving within the next week or 2. Hey, Cassandra. I was watching Taylor Swift videos earlier today. It's funny that you came in. Getting by, Cassandra. It's been a rough week, if I'm being honest. um, but we got through it. And the 11th is coming up soon. And there's a lot of anxiety around that. And a lot of things in the air. That I don't know, I've got anxiety about it. They are doing the termination thing on the other half. That's out of the question, to not go forward with that. Which we need them to do, for our safety. We're just waiting to see what happens on the 11th to see, like, how far we need to go. But I'm sure that it's not going to be a difficult task, given everything at hand anyway. Full termination. They don't normally do that, but in this case, it's necessary. I have to say Ophelia. Ophelia is probably my favorite so far. And, Opalite. Like, her newest album is probably her best album yet. I wouldn't be surprised if she did not snag an Emmy or a Grammy. Like, it is that good. She is in her goddess era. I think she's finally coming to her own. And she's finally happy and at peace and with someone who really, really loves her. And it shows in how happy she is. And I could not be happier for her. That man is absolutely crazy about her. He did the Opalite dance on the football field, for crap's sake. You know? It's so cute. I love it so much.
Coming up this way with its hands, and it was like a black shape just looking at me down the hallway like this through the bars. I took in a big, deep breath, and I think I called for my mom, and this thing shot off like a light up the stairs. So it takes off up the stairs and, like, on all fours, starts zooming this dark shadow thing towards my brother's door, and the door I could almost touch from the bed, so I just shot out of bed and slammed the door shut, and I screamed bloody murder. I woke up the whole house. Nothing hit the door. Nothing else happened, but of course my dad took off out of bed and ran towards my brother's room. It's like, what the hell is going on? None of the doors were open. The basement door was locked. No one had broken in. And I, after that point, until we got me moved into my other room, slept with that door shut. there are so many things that happened in that house. Like, I, for a long time, could not sleep with a mirror in the same room
Happy
as me
Thanksgiving.
because of things I saw. There was an entity that several people saw that my family didn't talk about for a very long time until
Hello.
we
Happy
kind
Thanksgiving.
once we had the medium and people kind of figured out something weird was going on with our house. But I have tons of stories, and I actually, if that story sounds familiar, I shared it on last podcast on the left several years ago, and I remember seeing a bunch of comments of people saying like, "There's no way that's true. People lie about this stuff all the time." I am telling you, on my life, my child's life, my family's lives, this shit happened, and it happened so often. Like, my mom would leave the house and call somebody from the front.
Okay, can we just address something? I get that she's trying to make a point, that she's being honest. But can we not swear on the lives of children? Could we not do that? Oh, I'm thankful for so many things. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful to be free. I'm thankful that both of my children are still with me. I'm thankful that both of my children are healthy. They are happy and thriving. I am thankful that we made it out of all of this intact for the most part. I am thankful. I don't feel like that's a good enough word, because although things may be hard, I am grateful. Because that could have ended so much worse. So much worse. It could have ended very differently. And I could have lost them. But I didn't. And they're here, and they're healthy, and they're happy. And that's really all I can ask for. And we're together. And you know, things may not be perfect, but we're making it. And we're together. Yeah, but sometimes what doesn't kill you leaves behind a nasty scar.
Porch and say I'm scared to be here alone. Everybody had something happen. Everybody. Like, it just was, it was a very active house. I could tell stories for hours. So what had happened on the land was twofold. We figured out through public land records after the medium came that one of the things was that we were situated outside of a huge former cattle ranch from the 1800s, and we were situated, our land had like the previous road for the ranch kind of cutting through it. So this would have been like where all the migrant ranchers and farm workers, plus all of the commerce in and out of this.
Muy bien. Parlez-vous français? Muy caliente. Oui. Discrepancy Deutsch. That was not French, that was Dutch. Just asking a question.
Gigantic ranch would have gone through, and there was also a 2 building like outcropping for the people that worked on the ranch, so it would have been like dry goods and like post service or communications. That was also long since gone. Then the medium had also said that she saw the remnants of a really terrible battle that would have happened with the native tribes in the area long before the Europeans came in and kicked them off of their own land. So that
Here's a problem with that, ma'am. Just about, you could throw a rock in America and hit Native American land, because at one point this was all Native American land. Like hell, the land I'm living on was Native American land.
that's kind of what we were told had happened. That there was a lot of negative energy from the residuals from the traveling road stuff, and then also we had a very old entity from the blood spilled on the land as well, which, given some of the other stories I have, totally makes sense. In addition, so we were on a hill, and at the bottom of the hill was a small creek. If you've ever been to that part of the country or Colorado, like a small creek is a very small creek. It's like maybe 2 feet wide at the most, but that was also original. It was part of the original kind of land/property lines, and it was part of the aggregation stuff for the giant cattle ranch. So I know a lot of paranormal people believe that water is a conduit for really extra, like supercharging paranormal activity, and so maybe that was part of it.
1 second.
Okay, so I'm not a storyteller, so forgive me, but this happened when I was probably 18, 19. I was still at home with my dad, and I was dating an ex-boyfriend of mine, and my dad was still pretty stern with me. He's Hispanic, so even though I was of age, I couldn't really do much, or I could, but he wanted me home at a certain time. And this night, I had fallen asleep, and I woke up at my boyfriend's house. And I was like, "Oh shit, we gotta go! Like, I gotta go." So he drops me off at home. It's late. It's probably like 11 p.m. And I go to the front door, and I go to open it, and it's locked. And my dad never locks or lock the door, so I look to my ex-boyfriend or my boyfriend. I look to him and I say, I put up my finger like, give me a minute. And he goes like, puts his hand up like, oh, okay. And he's always waited for me to get inside. He never drove off or anything like that. So I go to the back and I see him through the back door, through the window to the front.
To the
I see him there, his
window,
car's still there, so I'm
to
like,
the
okay, cool.
walls,
I
to the
tried the back
set
door,
down my bows.
didn't work, and he's still sitting there. And so I go around to my dad's window, and I look inside, and I call in, and I see that he's not there. My dad's gone. So I'm like, what the fuck? What happened? Like, where is he? So I go walk up front back to the front door. My boyfriend's gone. And my phone is on like 2%. It's about to die. And I'm like, okay, well now I'm here by myself. What just happened? Like, he always waits for me to go inside. So I go, and with the little bit of battery I had left, I go and I call him, and I'm like,
CVS Casa Parabellum.
what happened? Like, why'd you leave? What's going on? He said, you got inside. And I said, no, I didn't.
Damn it.
I didn't get inside at all. What are you talking about? And he said, no, you went inside. We had a nightlight, a Dodger blue light my dad had in the living room. It was just me and my dad, okay? He's a boy. So that was up in the living room, and he said that I went in, I unplugged it, and he couldn't see, but he saw the outline, and I waved. I waved to him, and I told him, I was like, let's call him Jerry. I was like, Jerry, I didn't get inside. I was never inside. Like, nobody's here. And he was like, what? Okay, like, so he whips around and comes and picks me up. Anyways, find out my dad's at the bar down the street, just hanging out, having a good time. And I was like, why'd you lock the door? Like, what happened? And he was like, oh, whatever his story was. And go inside, no one's there. The light, the blue light that my ex was talking about, was on when I passed the door to go to my dad's room. And when I walked back to the front, that light never was off. So somebody wanted me home that night, and somebody wanted me there alone.
I did not know that paranormal stories in the hood was a thing. But since it is, let me tell y'all about the time me, my mom, and my sister lived in a haunted house for over 10 years. This story is gonna have multiple parts, so buckle up. This is just part one. And this is when we first moved into the house, right? We not even fully.
What are you doing?
Now, a little backstory.
What
Like,
are
we
you
bought this
doing?
house for cheap, and it was a nice house. It was like 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, big ass. It was like a living room.
What are you
Well,
doing?
it was like actually like a living room. Like
Are you
dining room,
cuddling,
and then kind of
Mommy?
like an entertainment room. The house
Yeah.
is huge,
It's
and we got it
cuddles.
for a cheap price.
It's
And
cuddles.
I remember like when I was telling my
It's
homeboy, one of my
cuddles.
homeboys about I was showing him the house, like, yeah, that's what we moved
It's a
into. And he
cuddle.
kind of looked at me and he was like,
Yeah. Like he is curled
you
up
know that house
against
haunted,
me.
right? He was like,
Yeah.
man,
Him
it's so ugly or whatever.
cuddles.
And he like,
Yeah.
no, for real. An
Jigga
old white
boy?
man stay there. He died in the house.
Yeah. Jigga
And people
boy.
say it's haunted. And ever
Yeah.
since then, nobody's
Him
ever
on the
stayed in the house
cuddle.
past a couple months
Yeah.
because it'd be too much shit happening. Now, mind you, the
Him
way my
cuddles.
homeboys be playing,
He
I'm
just
kind of
pushed
thinking he's just
himself up
fucking with me,
beside me
right? I'm just
between
like,
me and the
whatever.
pillow.
Alright, so now fast forward to
He's like, I
we
want
moving in.
snuggles.
We all going, me, my mom, my sister, we all going back and forth moving
He got
out
a
together,
haircut.
right? So now at this
Him
point,
did.
the only people in the house is me and 2 of my cousins,
You got a
right?
haircut. Yes,
And
you
I'm showing
did.
them like the house. So I'm not gonna go into details how it's
Hey,
set up. This
Katie.
will take too long, but long story short, my room, the reason
Yeah, he want
it's a
cuddles.
fucked up reason, but my room didn't have any windows. And I loved it because when you would cut the lights off, it would be completely pitch dark. And I would sleep all day up in that bitch. So I'm showing my homeboys my room. But right down the hallway is my sister's room. And she actually had the biggest room in the house. And so I showed them my room, and then I go down to the end of the hall, and I'm showing them my sister's room. And like I said, she had a big ass room. But on the wall, now this is important. On the wall, there was like a floor length mirror, but it didn't have a frame or anything, and it was bolted directly into the wall where you couldn't move. Like if you touch it, you can't move it. It wouldn't move at all. It's just right there in the wall. It was like 4 bolts on each corner holding it into the wall, right? So I take them in there. I show.
He gets a, what you call a teddy bear cut, where the hair on his body is short except for on his legs and, on his head. But, like, his body is short, but his legs, his chest, and his little mane stays long. And they call it, like, a teddy bear cut. It is wolves. A bunch of them, actually. I actually like this one a lot. It's gonna look like this. It's gonna be really pretty. It's got the mountains and the snow. I just finished the other one in my last live stream, and we just started this one. And I'm still fighting with this freaking paper. I am, because that's the only way I can get to the sky part. I already got the bottom part. I got all the W's in the bottom part. Now I'm getting all the ones in the top, and then I'm going to go back and get the ones inside the wolf and on the other side. There's a method to my madness, I promise.
In my sister's room and shit. And then I go back into my room, and they come into my room with me because I'm moving my shit in, right? I'm moving my clothes, books, you know, knickknacks, all that good stuff. So while we're, mind you, nobody's in the house but us. Me, my two cousins. While we're in my room and we just talking, I'm talking about all the shit we gonna be doing, yada, yada, yada. We hear a loud ass crash come from my sister's room. Now, we hood ninjas. So when we hear that, our first instinct is somebody in here with us. So we immediately dash into my sister's room, ready for action. Nobody's there. And the way the house is set up, nobody could have been in there. And they couldn't have came in and left without us seeing them or hearing them. The way the house is set up, right? So we get into the room, nobody's there. And my sister hasn't moved into her room yet. So it's nothing in her room. Her room is completely empty. And we looking around like, what the fuck was that noise? And we look at the mirror and it's smashed. Like, so now we know what the sound was. At first, we didn't even know the sound. It was just the crash was so loud that it actually, like, we all, like, flinched before we ran to see what was going on. And the way the mirror was shattered, you would think somebody took a sledgehammer or something and just, you know, slammed it into it. So now, we in my sister's room, and we just looking around like, what the fuck? Like, how did that happen? Because again, mind you, my sister, the mirror is bolted into the wall. You can't move it. You can't jiggle it. There was no type of give on it. You dig what I'm saying? So for it to just spontaneously shatter, there was no logical explanation. And we just kind of like, you know how you get that, oh shit, look, but then you try to laugh it off, because we just like, and I'm like, oh, well, damn. And then, I make a joke like, well, damn. Motherfucker did say, the homie did say that the house haunted, haha, we laughing, but we kind of spooked. So now, like, maybe an hour or so later, my sister shows up. And she's already been in the house, right? And, me and my two cousins, we in my room. We sit in my room, chopping it up and shit. She goes in her room, and my sister got a temper. So she goes in her room, gets to yelling, and immediately comes to my room. Like, what the fuck y'all do to my mirror? And I'm like, we didn't do nothing to your mirror. And she like, get the fuck out of here, man. I know y'all. Y'all was probably up in there play fighting and shit, and y'all done smashed the mirror, and y'all don't wanna take accountability or whatever. Like, what the fuck? And so we like, look, honestly, we was in my room. That's what I'm telling myself. I'm like, look, honestly, we was in my room, and we just heard a loud crash. We came in there, and the mirror was broke. My sister looked at us and she like, y'all can't come up with a better fucking line than that. I'm like, and my cousin is looking at her like, no, he's not lying. Cause I was known to joke and be sarcastic and shit. And so my cousin had to step in like, no, look, straight up, he's not lying. We was in here. We don't know what happened. We just heard this shit. And like the more that we explaining it to her, the more she's kind of like, first she's kind of like, then she's kind of like, and she like, y'all for real? We like, yes. Well, look, so, and that was the first strange thing that happened. But a lot more shit happened. This video kind of long, so I'm gonna have to catch y'all on the next one. And I'm gonna let y'all know, cause that shit right there that I'm telling you is freaky as that song. I'm getting chills. It get a lot worse. And this shit is real. I'm not lying. I'm not making this shit up. But, alright, me, my mom, and my sister stayed in the haunted house for 10 years or 2. Side note, in the first part, somebody in the comment section was talking about a area in California that's haunted. Just for clarity, all of this happened in Lamar, Mississippi. I would drop the address to the actual house, but I don't know if anybody's living there, so I don't want to be like inadvertently doxing somebody. But let's get to it. So we had been in the house for a minute, and
Right? It's a good thing to do when, you know, you want to relax. It's really fun. Well, I mean, it's relaxing. I like to do it when I listen to ghost stories. Or do whatever, really. It's just something to do while we listen to stuff. And hang out.
I had some shit happen to me that I'm gonna talk to y'all about later. This is another story though. So I used to game a lot, right? I had a Dreamcast and I would play like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Street Fighter Third Strike, you know what I'm saying, fighting games. They used to be my jam. And one of the people I used to play with all the time was my homeboy named Ed. Now, here's what you need to know about Ed. Ed was a Marine, and Ed wasn't scared of shit. Nothing. I watched Ed catch a damn water moccasin with his bare hands, and then he skinned it and tried to turn it into a belt. That's Ed. When I first met Ed, when we was younger, one of the things him and his cousin used to do for fun is they would go and lay in between the train tracks and let the train run over.
Oh, hell
The man
no.
wasn't scared of shit. He used to climb in trees and jump tree to tree like a damn squirrel. He wasn't scared of anything. That's going to be important to this story. So, like I said, Ed was like, that's my homeboy, but he also like family. He basically was damn near living with us. And sometimes he'll sleep in the spare room. Sometimes he'll sleep in my room. He'll have like his Marine sleeping bag, and he would sleep on the floor at the foot of my bed. So one particular night, you know, he comes over, he spends the night, he sleeps on the foot of my bed. My room, as I said before, didn't have any windows. So when I closed the door, cut the lights off, it would be pitch black. And I used to love that room because I used to have insomnia. But when I would be in that room, I closed the door and it'd be in total darkness because you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. I used to get some of the best sleep of my life until shit started happening, but we'll get to that in a second. So this night, Ed spends the night, he sleeps in a sleeping bag on the floor. And get up the next day, and he's just like, hey man, he was like, I seen a ghost last night. And that's exactly how he said. He said in a casual way. He wasn't excited. He wasn't spooked. It was just, he could have been telling me the weather. I seen a ghost last night. And I'm just like, what? You seen it? I believed him immediately because of the shit I was going through. But I was like, you seen a ghost? Like, but I never seen like anything physical. It was just shit that would happen. He seen a ghost from what he told me. And I'm like, you know, you're going to have to elaborate. You have to give me the details on it. And so he was like, he was asleep, And you know how sometimes you can feel like something is looking at you? He had that feeling, and he woke up, and there was a girl bent over staring at him. Like, just because he was on the floor, so she was just like leaning over him, staring at him. And I'm kind of like, the first question I asked was like, well, how could you see her? Because, like I said, when you close the door, cut off the lights, my room is pitch black. You can't see nothing. And he was like, well, it seemed like her shirt or whatever she was wearing, it was like it had like a faint glow to it. He was like, so he could see her, but just barely. And he was like, she either had on like a long t-shirt or a gown. And I was like, well, how's she look in her face? Like he was like, I couldn't tell you because he was like, you know, she leaning down, she been leaning over staring at him, but her hair was covering her face. Now, another side note, this happened before that movie The Ring came out, so we didn't have no point of reference when he was telling me this. It wasn't until after The Ring came out, and he was like, that kind of looks like the girl, you know what I'm saying, that I seen in your room. But, so I'm like, so she's just staring at you? He like, yeah. And I was like, well, what did you do? And he was like, well, he was like...
Well, look at it like this. It relaxes me. It's kind of like crocheting. Some people think that crocheting is tedious and time consuming or whatever. And it is. It is very much time consuming. But it puts me at ease. If that makes sense.
His first thought was, he thought that maybe it was my sister, and she snuck in there, you know, trying to play a prank, trying to scare him or whatever. Because my sister used to do shit like that. But he realized that it wasn't her when he reached up and tried to touch her face, and he was like, she stood up and just kind of like stepped back into the corner and just like went into the wall. And I'm like, she went into the wall. He like, yeah, bro. It's like she just melted into the wall. And he tried to like, he went into the corner where she backed into, and nothing was there. That was in my bedroom, y'all. I started sleeping with the light on. I'll have like a little night light after that.
I have a story from when I was 17 years old that to this day is unsettling to me and scary, and I still don't even know what to make of it, to be honest. But when I was 17, my best friend at the time, Matt, wanted to go visit his brother in Mississippi. Matt's brother was stationed in Mississippi with the Navy, and he lived in this house with his girlfriend and this other guy who was a Navy SEAL. I never met him, but I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so the whole plan was to go to Mississippi, hang out with Matt's brother, and then we were going to go to New Orleans and go hang out on Bourbon Street and do all that. The drive was about 2 or 3 hours for me and Matt. So while we're driving there, Matt decides to tell me then, hey, by the way, my brother's house is haunted, ha 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 ha. They've been having some problems, you know, isn't that crazy? And I immediately got irritated that he didn't tell me that before. And if you guys don't know this about me, I grew up in a haunted house, and my parents had to have priests come through and bless the home and all that. So there's history there for me, and it's just uncomfy to me, and I don't want to be around it. And that's it. So we end up getting there. I meet Matt's brother and his brother's girlfriend, and they're super cool, and we're all talking, hanging out. They're telling us about, you know, what's been going on and all that stuff, and it was getting really bad for them. But they end up telling us a story about what happened in that house. And the story is really sad because it was a mother and her son, and the son was playing in the driveway, and he ran into the street and got hit by a car and passed away. And the mother, being depressed, on the ceiling fan in the living room. Guess where me and Matt were sleeping? In the living room, underneath the ceiling fan. And yeah. So, first night, Matt decides to get really drunk, and everyone else goes to sleep. It's midnight. Matt blacks out, and he's dead asleep. And I'm I'm laying on the floor in the living room next to Matt. We had blankets and pillows, and we had a big flat screen TV in front of us, and I put on something happy, and I put on the movie Jackass. And I'm sitting there, and I'm slowly nodding off. And do you know when you're sitting at night in front of a TV screen and you can kind of see the light flashing over your eyelids? You can like see the screen almost. So yeah, I was seeing that.
Thousands. Yeah, of all movies, right? Oh my God. Freaking 6, 7. I hate it so much. Yeah, of all movies. Yeah. Like, they didn't tell the dude it was haunted before he came. Like, that's messed up. Especially if they knew, what he'd gone through. I'd be pissed.
So, as I'm falling asleep, I start feeling footsteps pressing into the carpet around my body. And I thought it was maybe Matt. So I turn and look, and Matt's sleeping. So it wasn't Matt. And the footsteps keep walking around my body, especially around my face. I feel the carpet pressing in around me. And my body goes into this state of fear. I was like frozen, I felt paralyzed, and I didn't know what to do. And next thing you know, the screen in front of me goes black, and I can hear Jackass playing, but it's just black, and I feel a heavy presence standing over me. And it felt like there was somebody standing over me, which is so unsettling to think about. And I start praying. That's like the only thing I feel like I was able to do. I just started like praying, like, God, protect me, like put a veil over me. I don't want to see this. Like, please go away. I didn't know what to do, and I end up falling asleep. Don't know how, but I did. And yeah, we wake up. I told them what happened. They're like, oh yeah, that's, she walks through the hallway, she walks through the living room. And I was like, okay, that's creepy. So fast forward to the middle of the day. Matt's brother and his girlfriend, they go to work, and me and Matt are just hanging out at the house. We're in a good mood. We're not even thinking about anything, and we're sitting in the kitchen. So we're sitting in this round table in the back. So basically, I'm sitting here, and Matt is you, and behind me is a doorway, like a little bit further back behind me, and it goes to like the front door, and then the hallway down to the bedrooms, and then the living room. So me and Matt are eating boiled peanuts, talking, laughing. I have photos from this day, and we're in a great mood. And Matt looks right past me, and he goes, I'll name Matt's brother's girlfriend, Sarah. He goes, Sarah. And I'm like, Matt, Sarah's not here. And he goes, Sarah. And I was like, Matt, Sarah's not here. And then the door slams at the end of the hallway. And me and Matt spring up without saying a word to each other and haul ass out of that house. I've never ran so fast in my life, like genuinely. Like, we sat outside of that house until his brother and his brother's girlfriend came back. And we did not go back in until they came back, and we told them what happened. And they said, like, it's normal, it's been happening, and it's creepy. So that's pretty much all we
I would have gotten a hotel.
At least that I can remember. And
because I would not have stayed in that creepy ass house.
Matt's brother and his girlfriend at the time, they ended up having to move out of that house. The Navy had to move homes for them because it got really aggressive, and whatever they were dealing with in there did not want them there. And yeah, that was not Sarah, and it was really unsettling for me. And yeah, to this day, I don't really know how to explain it, but I thought it was really creepy.
Oh, you don't know how long I've been waiting for this. 2012, when me and my wife started dating, we got our first apartment. We moved in, everything was running smooth, we settled, everything was cool. Until a week later, we started hearing, little noises. Things were being knocked down, like, the bookshelves. And, we looked at each other, we're like, we kind of shook it off like it was no big deal. So then things started to get a little crazy. So we fell asleep one night, and then the next day, my wife asked me, "Hey, why were you playing with my feet last night?" And I looked at her like, "Playing with your feet? Why would I be playing with your feet?" And she was like, "You were tingling my feet, and you were kind of like pulling me, towards the end of the bed." And I was like, that was not me. I don't know what you're talking about. So she kind of gave me a look, like, in shock, like she was, then you can kind of tell, like, that she was scared. But then, again, we kind of, like, shook it off, like, oh, it might have been a dream or something like that. Then, the next night, she woke me up, and it was, like, I think it was, like, somewhere around 2 o'clock, somewhere around 2:30, and then she's like, did you play with my hair? Did you put your hands like in my hair? And I was like, no. So she got really scared, and then she kind of like scooched over towards me and like hugged me, and then I was like, what's going on? And she's like, she couldn't even talk. So that same night we moved to the living room and we slept on the couch. So the next day we went to our normal routine, like, again, we kind of shook it off because we never experienced this before together, so we kind of shook it off again. Like, I guess she was just like, she didn't want it to sound like she was crazy or anything like that, and I didn't want it to make her feel like, oh, maybe you're just tripping about something, So we were back to our room, and we noticed that as me and her are talking, like, as we're trying to sleep, she can't sleep, I can't sleep. So we're talking to each other, and next thing you know, it's like somewhere around 12 o'clock, we hear something in the bathroom being knocked down. Boof! I think it was like the body wash or something. And I looked at it, it was probably the body wash, like, whatever. So then we freaking saw the freaking door for the bathroom open by itself, and then I was like, yo, screw it, let's go to the
Oh, no problem. I'm fixing to log off myself. I was only gonna do a short one anyway. I've got to get up and start cooking, because the cooking is gonna take all night. Oh, Gandalf is all up under Mama. Yes, him is. He want to snuggle. Yes, him do. He wants snuggle. Yeah. You say, Mom, I'm ready for bed. Yes, I am. Good night and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Poor baby. He wants to go to bed. Him snuggling closer and closer. And if he gets any closer to me, he's gonna become part of my leg. He's trying to, like, absorb himself into my leg. Yeah. Him good boy. Yeah. I love you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.